Sir,
Yeah?
sir, I have a small doubt in finite difference method.
Yeah.
So initially, can we arbitrarily choose some initial values and do the iteration, or should we take only specific values for iteration?
Finite element, just tell me
Finite
what.
difference method, sir.
Finite difference, huh?
Yes, sir. So can we take some arbitrary initial values and do the iterations,
Huh.
or is there any specific initial values we need to choose?
No, actually there are several techniques for solution of finite difference one. Some of them just you can see it is a, finally you put it in this form, you can say that some unknown potentials on the left hand side is equal to some matrix inverse and into some known potential on the right hand side. So you can just do the right matrix inversion and you can find it out. Whole things, equations, you can put it here, there. Or sometimes you may find that the matrix is not square, but you can have some sort, use some pseudo inverse of those matrices, of that matrix and find it out. So there is no unique way or like this. There are many other ways you can do it. Iterative technique is one of them. And whatever I have shown is a simple iterative technique by which we can solve it through hand calculations. Nothing else. Is it
Okay,
clear
sir.
to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Huh? Got my point. Okay. Any other questions up to this? So please note down that our seminars with class will start from Wednesday. So who are the first four speakers? Is it identified? Okay, she may be late in joining. But I
Yes,
think,
sir. Yes, sir. We have identified.
so are all of you ready? So at least four people should give out of them. And as I told, after the break, we'll have it from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock or like this there. So 10 minutes presentation, you will have to give it. And who are the, you just, Karuna will announce it. I think you have communicated already. Please be prepared.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So please be prepared and then submit and after the presentations and it will be followed by a brief discussions, you please also submit a few page report on what we are speaking about. So that will be a document there. And we plan to have class test in next week. Maybe is it instead of Saturday, if it is on Sunday, is it okay for you? Is it okay for you on Sunday morning?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But oh, acha, acha. So in that case, next Sunday, yeah? Okay, next week you mean to say? Acha, acha, acha. Okay, we'll discuss it. But prepared for this 1 hour or 1.5 hour class test. We are planning to have it like this. Anyway, we go back to the there, our discussions on our finite element method. As you have already seen, so you will conclude this part. So we have already seen that this is a 2D finite element we are doing it. Whole thing is based on, and we have simplified to 2D. And in 2D, one of the ways for dividing the whole region into some triangular elements. If it is 3D, it would be some sort of pyramid or what is there? Some sort of three-dimensional objects. We will have to do it like this. And so what we have seen is that this is an element there. The energy stored, that is a WE, which we can express it in this form. Half of what is it? Lambda transpose S into lambda there. This is a single element, what we had it like this, where lambda is the potential at the 3 points. So it is S of E, say we can call it. Above that, S is the shape matrix or like this, and lambda is equal to the potentials at 3 points, V1, V2, and V3, like this there. And from there we had connected, that means all them, they are connecting all of them. Say suppose this is one matrix element, another matrix is like this. So you can say it is 1 and 2 and like this there. So what will be there? W overall, you will get it that it is half of, say suppose lambda disconnected. I am just put it in this way. Some, because each one I am just put it, and then it is S disconnected and then lambda disconnected. So all of them, basically this S disconnected will be summed like this: S of 1, S of 2, S of 3, sums out of it matrix. So if it is the hundreds of elements, so naturally this matrix size could be very high or like this. And from there we got it that another thing, once you connect them together, so potential at this point and potential at this point would be equal to these two there. So overall, we can reduce the dimension. I can write it down in this way, that over W overall is equal to lambda half of lambda connected transpose, S connected transpose, or rather S dashed I call it, and this is lambda transpose connected. That we have seen it, and this S dashed is equal to some connection matrix CT into S disconnected into CT. That we have seen it. And there what we read that this finally, when we apply minimum energy principle, so del W overall divided by del lambda, so that means if we take the derivative of each element of lambda, lambda means V1, V2, V3, V4, all the triangles, corner points we are connected. So this will be is equal to S into lambda connected is equal to 0, because ultimately this is a minimum energy principle, and this is one thing there. In this context, what I would like to point it out, that this S element of a single element is given by surface integral, then integral of lambda nabla alpha I, nabla alpha j, and ds. That was the S matrix there. And what are the values of alpha I and alpha j? These are all basically decided on the shape of the matrix, or the what are the dimensions of the shape of the element, or the dimension, coordinates of the corner points there. It is not dependent upon the potentials. So this is completely dependent upon how do you split into the into small triangles, and what are the shape of the triangle. So often it is called shape matrix or like this there. So it is independent of what we apply, what is the structure and etc. So each element can be made of this one like this there. So it is not, we need not, so it can be pre-made and just we can fit it in this way. So first of all, so overall once we can calculate our shape matrix for all of them, one of them, I can connect it depending upon this one, we can get it like this there. Now the question is that, so we'll have to apply the S connected, S into lambda connected equal to 0, that will be our minimum energy principle. We'll have to give it like this there. We'll have to find out like this. Now say, as I told, lambda are the potentials at all the corner points of them. We can say that some of the points on the boundaries, the lambda may be prescribed. It is 10 volt, it is 100 volt, or like this there. So it is 100 volt, this is say 10 volt, like this. Some of the points on the of all of them boundaries, I mean all of them is there, this will be prescribed. And others, they will be free there. Free means we need to, basically they are unknown, we need to find out, and this is like this. So at some of the nodes, the potentials are prescribed while at some other they are fixed. They are free. So in that case, what we can do is that this lambda vector, basically lambda is a vector, so I can split it into two parts like this. So let lambda is equal to lambda free and lambda p. So lambda f is equal to potentials at free nodes and lambda p is equal to potentials at prescribed nodes. So in that case, what we can write is that this S matrix also I can make some sort of block, in blocks. This we split into some blocks like this. So therefore, I can write it down S FF into SFP into S of PF into S of PP into lambda free into lambda prescribed equal to 0 there. Is it clear? Can I write it? So what I am doing is that this lambda connected, so basically lambda connected here, this is split into this one, and this S dashed, sorry, here it would be S dashed, that is that I am splitting into, basically splitting into 4 submatrices, and I call them SFF, SFP, SPF, and SPP, like this, and this is like this. So I need not have to do this vast equation itself. We can write SFF into lambda F plus of SFP into lambda P equal to 0. And second equation I need not bother. Mind it, this lambda p is prescribed and lambda f is the unknown which we want to know there. So I can write it down that lambda f is equal to SFF inverse into SFP into lambda p. So if we know the matrices, if we know the shape function like this and S matrix like this there, and this lambda p is a prescribed value, this lambda f, that means all other points where it is free, unknown, we can easily find it out there. Obviously, the dimensions may be few hundred or few thousand, basically structural problems. It is very high dimension, so that a solution of this equation is inverse is not preferred. Other way, we just do the things there. But ultimately, if we know that this is there, if we know the prescribed value of if we know the prescribed value of the potentials there, the free value, free nodes, at the free nodes, what are the potentials? I can find out. And mind it, these things, all the things, whenever I put the prescribed boundary conditions, basically on the boundary we have got a prescribed boundary conditions, we put the values there. But from the first derivations and wherever we have seen that if the boundary condition is Dirichlet or Neumann, so boundary condition prescribed means boundary values potential prescribed is Dirichlet condition. Even if it is a Neumann condition, then also because, and basically that Neumann, the gradient is equal to 0 in the normal direction. This is automatically incorporated. So basically, this is a solution of our Laplace equation using finite element technique. Am I clear? I think it may take some more time, but I think you try to go through it, and as I have told, it is mostly from Haidt's book or Ida's book, you can find out these are the things. So particularly what are the steps are we can say. So boundary conditions of direct, it is automatically taken care. And what we can say is that steps are 1, distribute the whole region into small triangular elements. As I have told, mind it, this is for 2D solution only, 2D systems only. For 3D, it would be slightly more here. And then, so you know the S matrix. So this is called the mesh generation. And then second thing is that for solve, so if this equation 1, you can solve for equation 1. So that will give you the potentials at all the nodes which we are unknown. And that potentials, obviously, this will be the potential, this result should be the solution of the Laplace equation with the appropriate, with the boundary conditions we have defined here. Okay? So some problems or some exercise has been given, you can follow the steps, or even in Haidt's and Ida's book, you can find out some problems. Actually, the major difficulty is that they are quite long. So the solutions, I mean, we need to compute using MATLAB or any other here there to do the things there. And there are number of packages, finite element packages are available, and you can use this one. In practical case, it is always advisable to use those things there. But for using the packages, we will have to prescribe something. They will have to give some, ask for some data or some here there. And basically, unless you understand the very basic approach and how it is coming, it is difficult to see that one, do that one. That's why the major reason behind it. So finally, this modeling is basically that how they will behave, and one type of modeling we are trying to provide there. But one more thing is also there, that is from this one, though the Laplace, as I told, the Laplace equation is not confined only in potential distribution, finding out potential distributions, but any heat transfer problem, structural problem, and all the things there. So as a result, the finite element method is popular in many, more popular possibly in structural problems or heat transfer problems or like this there. And what we can say is that all of them rest on the basic principle of, that is the minimum energy principle. So what you can say, it is a potential, here we are speaking about, so that is that, so that the total energy distribution is minimum. And similarly, in structural side, we just call it a stress or the strain energy of the of an element there should be minimum. So I just give you actually, because they give an example of such type of, we can go for this to the next other type of mechanical problems also, the applications of it. If we take 1D finite element problem. This case, we will take some sort of mechanical system. This text, we will take a mechanical system, and from their mechanical, just a 1D problem, we will just try to see how that finite element method can be used for solution of these things there. Okay. So what we can do is that a mechanical system. What we can take a small element, this is a 1D element, and say this is one and this is that, this is your element, 1D element. Say suppose this is displacement at this point is u1, displacement of this point is u2, maybe this length is L, and this cross section is A, and this element has got an modulus of elasticity of E. So E is the modulus of elasticity, A is the cross-sectional area, and two elements, the lengths of this one is L, and the displacement of these two elements is Y1 and U1 and U2, and say this is your X. I am just counting X from left. Small element, actual whole structure, I am just putting it to a small one and just try to see what is the energy stored in it, and here we are considering the strain energy stored in it, and how do you do it, like this thing. So what we can do is that, assuming, so consider a single element, in a mechanical system. I call it a mechanical system, though it is the simplest one. So what we can say, assuming okay, am I audible? I hope I'm audible. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Assume the displacement x we expressed as rather displacement in x direction rather I call it. Expressed as, say, suppose u of x is equal to a plus bx. So u is the displacement in this x direction is different. I just put it like this. And this I say in terms of a, that it is a 1D problem, so it is a plus bx. Why? If it is a 2D problem, we have expressed it in terms of a triangle, it was a plus bx plus of cy like this. Similarly, 3D problem, we can put it like this there. So, we know the boundary conditions at x is equal to 0, u is equal to u1, x is equal to L, u is equal to u2. So from this one, what you can say it is, if x is equal to 0, then it is what we can say a is equal to u1, and from this expression, u at x is equal to L, u is equal to u2, so it is u2 is equal to u1 plus of b of L. What we can say is that b is equal to u2 minus u1 divided by L. So we can, from this one, in a similar way we had done it, but here it is a simpler one-dimensional. U is equal to u1 plus of u2 minus u1 divided by L into x. I can write it down. Yeah. Okay. And we know that strain is equal to du dx. That is, strain is the unitless quantity. So, and also it is basically in this direction, it is any point you can say x by L, or you can say it is basically du dx there. And stress is equal to E into du dx. Now we know that it is a linear mode or like this. So if it is a strain here, and this is your stress here, it is in the elastic region, it is a straight line. So we are not going for the plastic region, but it is elastic region, it is in straight line. And what about the energy stored? Per unit volume? Can you tell me what is it? What is the energy stored per unit volume? I give a clue with our magnetic circuits. So you know B by H curve, if I considered, obviously it is like this, but I am not bothering about this one. There, okay, I can put it also. There is no issue there. Like this there. So up to this one, what is the energy stored per element? You can say very small element or okay, I will talk, okay, take a straight line itself. If it is a straight line, what is the energy stored per element, per unit volume of the BH curve?
Sir, half BH.
Very good. Half into B into H. So from this one itself, I can say it is analogy half into sigma into epsilon. This is your epsilon and this is your sigma there. Okay. So if I write it, so this is equal to half into E into du dx whole square. Okay. So total strain energy so this is equal to you need to integrate over the volume. Volume integration means basically the length into the area. So this area is a cross-sectional area. A is a cross-section area. So if it is the total strain energy for that one is called, so it call it SE. It is basically 0 to L half of E into du dx whole square into what you have it A into dx. Agreed? So this is a small one. I am just putting cross-sectional area here is constant. So A is a constant and then it is into dx there. Okay. So I can write it down is equal to half of E into A, then it is 0 to L, and what is du dx? Du dx is equal to, if I just put it in this way, it is u2 minus u1 divided by L whole square. No, sorry, this is not needed. Into L, because here it is x, here it is x, and so naturally it is linearly, so it would be simply L, and here there is a L square term at the bottom there. So what I can say that stored energy is equal to or strain energy SE is equal to half into EA divided by L into U2 minus U1 whole square. Agreed? Because this L and this L at the denominator cancels out there. And, that's basic element I have listed. And this was our element, this was our U1, this was U2, this is your L, and this is your X direction. And we know this is A and E. So what you can say, the stiffness matrix, or we call it in this case stiffness matrix. We can, or from there itself, we can find out that del E del SE by del U1 is equal to What is the value? Because we know we are trying to find out what is the minimum energy principle. So this is the energy principle. So if we take the derivative with respect to U1, so here it is minus EA divided by L into U2 minus U1. Because there is a minus U1 there. Or we can say it is EA divided by L U1 minus U2. Similarly, I can say del of AC by del U2 is equal to, what is it? It is EA by L into U2. Sorry, it would be U2 minus, write it in this manner, minus U1 plus of U2. Okay. This is just a idea. So what we can say that basically this is a change in the stored energy. So why is change in stored energy or strain energy? There will be somewhere some force is acting upon. F is a force acting upon there. And this force, F, is nothing but is equal to, I can say it is F1, similarly, okay. Forget it. First of all, what we can say is that del SC del U1, del SC del U2 is equal to, what is the matrix? U1, U2 here, and this is a peculiar one, that is, it is simply 1 minus 1 minus 1 plus 1 there. Okay. So this is the thing we have it, but mind it, there would be definitely some force there. Therefore, some force should be acting on it, and we know that the force is nothing but the change in basically rate of change in work done, or the dW dx like this there. So I can say, or the change in stored energies is here there. So I can say that it is a force, F1, F2 are forces. Somewhere I am putting it, the force, we will just put it like this. So this one, I call it, the K is the stiffness matrix. This is nothing but 1 minus 1 minus 1 plus 1. So mind it, this is a typical structure, as I have told you. The stiffness matrix doesn't depend upon all the numerical values, external forces or external voltages we apply. It depends upon the shape and how do you consider. So if it is a single element and it is considered that A plus Bx like this there, this shape of that element, the stiffness matrix is like this, and this is your S. So we can say F is equal to S into U. Or rather I call it Q. It is a vector.
Sir, there is a EA upon L term missing.
Oh. Thank you, thank you. Here also. Is it okay? Thank you very much. I missed it. Thank you. Now, this is a single element there. Now, if we recall the basics of the finite element, how do you solve it or like this? So, each element are considered first as a disconnected element and then connected elements. So connected elements. So the point is that, say, suppose we have and say this is 1, sorry, this is A is the cross-sectional area, okay, it has been doubled, so I put it 2A and then it is E there. Okay. So first of all, then I just put it on the left hand side. So this is your force at F1, at this end this is F2 and this is your F3. So I could have made F1, F2, F2, F3 separately and then connected, had a disjoint set like this. But if I make a connections there, so what will be the S matrix? Definitely I put EA by L. What is the first elements? It would be 1, minus 1, minus 1, plus 1. So this is the template. And definitely the point is that first element F3 is no way connected to this one. I put them 0, 0 there. Okay. Now, what would be the, while you consider the second element? Mind it, in the second element, the area remains the same, but this is, area here is doubled in the second case like this. So what we can do is that basically now, this is the template. So what we can say it is 1, for the second element, once you connect it, it is minus 1, and here minus 1, here minus 1, sorry, it would be minus of 2, minus of 2, plus of 2, and here it would be 1 plus 2. So here it would be EA by L into minus 1, minus 1, 0, minus 1, then 3, then minus 2, then it is 0, then it is minus 2, then it is 2 there. So what we can do is that we are connecting it and joining them because F2 remains the same. So what we can, just looking at it, I can, that's why the advantage of this one, I can join the second element with it just by this one, that's because it is common to them, but this area is 2, so all the elements I will have to multiply by 2, so it would be 1 plus 2 minus 2 minus 2 plus 2 there. So if we can do the things there, there's a second element there, so 2 elements join, the stiffness matrix becomes equal to like this there. So we can have a say suppose in this case, so U1, U2 and U3, I fixed it that this is equal to, it is fixed. This is also a fixed one. But only here some force is being applied, P. So basically F2 is equal to P. So we can write it down actually that, and also what we know, these two are fixed. U1 is equal to 0, U3 is equal to 0, but U2, that means suppose I have put some force here. I want to find out what is the displacement of this one, provided these two elements are fixed. Then you see, without knowing much of the A there, this our strength of materials or like this, I can write it down. That is equal to the second element is important. That is F2 is equal to what is it? F2 is equal to
3 EA by L into U2.
EA divided by L into what we have? Sorry, only the middle point. So it is U1 minus of U1, then plus of 3U2 minus of 2U3. But you know, U1 equal to 0, U3 equal to 0. So what we can say is equal to EA by L into 3U2. That is the expression. So what we can say, and this one is P there, force applied. So I can find out U2 is equal to, what is it? L divided by 3EA. Please correct me if I am wrong. And obviously, this will be into P there, into P. So, what we can see, without knowing any strength of materials or like this, very mechanically, okay, we can define the things there. Only thing that the strain energy we have done it. But we can join the elements, obviously it is a 1D element, and from that one, otherwise it could have been a difficult problem. If it is like these two elements are connected, if I push some force here at this point, and they are, modulus of elasticities are same, and like this, I can find out which is directly what is the displacement at this point. So basically the same thing, that finite element or A there, we can do the things there, and using a very systematic approach, you can solve it and do the thing. So third element also you can add, fourth element also you can add, and we can do it in a next area. Okay? So we'll conclude the finite element part here with an example in the mechanical systems, because it is easy, but there is also another reason which I will explain just now, mention just now. But you can see that we can find out the displacement or do the stress, using the stress strain analysis, you can find out the displacement and solve it. And basically, this whole thing can be programmed nicely and you can find it out. Okay? Any question up to this? You can see this one, I think, and I will give you the here there, that Kane Bhatt's book. I have not here there. And next day I will be giving that one there. But the question also, the reason behind selecting such a problem, one is that definitely it's a simplified 1D problem. Second thing also, that without knowing much of it, you can systematically go and find out that unknown values there. And you can also put it, there are several things there. Here it is like this end you can make it free, and so many boundary conditions you can put it, and you can also solve them in this way there. And that is the thing there, just to give you an idea, obviously, and for 1D system it is always easy to do the thing there. But apart from that, actually, we'll see that these things will require further studies in the modeling of several systems, because we have tried to model the systems which are a sensor or like this, or actuator, whatever may be, which is following in the electrical domain. In the electrical domain, the potential and all other things, the area. And this is another example where we are applying finite stress element method to solve a system or a solution of these problems in a mechanical domain. But many of the, so we just consider them separately. But many of the systems are called electromechanical system. Many of the things we can have an electromechanical system there. Say suppose where both the electrical and mechanical systems we are going into it there. Say suppose I just give an example. Say suppose we have a coil and a DC voltage there. R and L like this there. And we have a switch. Okay. Okay, I will put it in this way. We have a switch. So what will happen is that if the coil, what we call it is a relay, say suppose like this. If we have energy, switch this coil on, energize it, what will happen? The relay will pull some air there. There would be a magnetic, electromagnetic force due to which it will try to pull in the switch into it there, try to close it. So it's basically a relay switch or like this there. And there is a spring. There is a spring which opposes the movement of this one. So I want to find out, say suppose what should be the voltage, what should be the spring and all other things there. So you can see that this requires our both the interaction, study of the interactions of both the electrical systems and both the mechanical systems there. So basically this is called a electromechanical systems. Electromechanical systems there. And if the size is very small, we put some basically, if it is in a range of say micrometers like this, they are very small micrometer then. What is the thing we call it? Micro electromechanical systems. And we know that in short, this is a MEMS which has got an immense applications and immense there. In fact, many of your sensors and actuators are there in your mobile phone itself. And you know there are several there. So naturally, this modeling is not, in this case, both electrical and mechanical systems are involved. And just now, simply, we cannot restrict our domain to electrical domain or mechanical domain. So this requires a thorough understanding or of the knowledge or knowledge about the modeling of this one. And this requires electromechanical systems. And we'll extend our knowledge afterwards to go for the study the MEMS part. Obviously, I will take it afterwards. I will discuss it afterwards. But mind it, MEMS when we will study, we will not go much of the fabrication issues, material. Maybe one lecture I will give you introduction. But rather our objective is to extend our knowledge on modeling to the MEMS system, to design the MEMS system and to see and to analyze the MEMS system and they are selecting their dimensions and many other issues there. That we'll like to do that one. So I stop here. Any questions do you have? If it is not, I will conclude, but I who are the people who are supposed to give the seminar on next day?
Sir, one is Ashok Thandu,
Okay.
and then Bala Srinivas Reddy, and Bindu Priyata, Bindu, and Tejasvi Buddha.
Okay. So all four, actually, I will have to find out their roll number in my roll sheet. You please keep it in, keep track of them. Huh?
Yes, sir.
And I will require roll number afterwards. So I hope all the four are present and
And
please be ready.
Shubham, sir, Shubham Dwari is also there, fifth person.
Fifth person, but okay,
Yeah.
we'll see. I'm not sure. Fifth one is maybe it is a backup like this, but please be prepared like this. But all of you, please do the things there, and because otherwise, in case you fail it on one day, it would be very difficult for us to give you another date because 65 or 66 candidates, students, I will have to take it. Okay. So primarily the first four we will have.